Good morning, Michael Walsh here. Welcome to Norgel Farm. It's a beautiful fall day. Temperature's about 50 degrees, a little crisp, a little windy. Still no rain. They're forecasting some rain, hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So today we're getting ready for our trip. We're driving to Canada to Utopia Farms, and we're going to pick up Lamborghini, the Suffolk, and then Cracker, the dorsal Texas crossbred rams. So getting the pen prepped. There's the hay, got it covered, and then we fenced across here to keep them out of this area. This is some of the area where those other Suffolk ewes were. Plus it's settled from when we put the stone in, so we've got some more gravel on order, or some stone, so they're going to put that in probably after we arrive. So we'll have to do some adjusting with the rams when that happens. So I've got them into this larger paddock, and they'll have a little bit of a run-in area over here, and they'll have that mineral feeder there. And this will be plenty for them for the time being. We'll keep them in isolation about a week to 10 days. I don't anticipate any problems. And then we're going to fence off out there and probably give them the left half of that. It's going to go over and then down the grove there, the box elder grove. There's a little bit of grazing out there left yet, so we'll put them over there, and we can still let them have access to the hay. We'll just open that gate and that gate over there, and they can go out. I want to keep them off this section because that's where those Suffolk ewes were, and one of them had a pretty high egg count, so just want to keep them off that for a while. We'll continue with our preparations. I got to finish building the goat feeder for over there. I just finished the components to the hay rack. There's 2 sides and 2 ends, and then we're using 2 wooden pallets for the bottom, and the bottom space is 10 inches, the next space is 11, and I think the top one is 15. If they can't get their head through, it's big enough they can pull hay out, so it should work. So let's get it put together, and I'll show you when we're done. Finished assembling of the panels. It's 4 feet wide, 8 feet long. Have 2 pallets in the bottom, and we'll make a cover for this. We'll get a 4x8 sheet of plywood and just drill some holes in it, and it'll set right on the top of this just to keep the snow and most of the rain off of it. So that's the goat feeder, the hay feeder for the goats. And we're going to divide this paddock. We'll come straight out the center here between the sheep feeder on the left, the goat feeder on the right. To drive a post, bring the fence straight out here. And then we'll cut across this way. And then you can see that space between the box elder grove from there to there. We'll go over, then we go straight down. If you see those corner posts down there, we'll just go straight down to that. That way the goats will have that half, and the sheep will have all of this half this winter. The border to Canada just opened up for importation of sheep in January of this year. In order to import the rams, a number of items had to be done. You apply with USDA, APHIS in Maryland, and make application for an importation permit. That's the first thing you have to have, and I thought that's all you needed. And I started that process the end of August, last week of August. Sent it in thinking that I might have missed one thing. Well, they sent it back to me, and there were 9 items that I had not put on there, and I reviewed the application and did not see where those other items were indicated that I needed, but they spelled it out for me what I needed to do, so I was able to do that. In addition to that, since 9/11, they now require a customs border agent for every shipment, and that's for security purposes. They want to know who's driving, who's on the passengers, and what you're bringing. So it took several phone calls to finally find a border customs agent. Most of them would not take a single shipment like ours, just a small time pickup truck. They wanted a large company. So I finally found one with Livingston, And then I had to get a SCAC code, SCAC, that is to identify the vehicle for customs. And so you have to put in the VIN number and the transponder number and everything like that. So then going back to the customs broker, you have to have, they came up with your manifest for the trip, and you have to put everywhere you're going to go, the route you're taking, and what roads and everything. So it's very detailed. And like I said, it took from the end of August until last week to get everything back. On Lynn's end at Utopia Farms, they had to have DNA testing done on both rams, and they have to have a DNA code for scrapie resistance. Scrapies is a neurological disease similar to mad cow disease, and so they either have to be RR or QR on codon 176, and then in addition you have to test them on codon 136, and they have to be AA. That's the only thing acceptable. So those had to be sent in, and then her veterinarian had to come out and collect the samples and then send those in. And then he came back out and did an examination, and also he has to put a tattoo in their left ear with the letters CAN standing for Canada, and that has to go in the left ear. And then they have to have their official Canadian Scrapies tag, radio ID tags that you can scan with an electronic scanner. So that's the tags that she uses, one of them. And then they have their herd flock, their flock identification number as well. So that's all done. He had to make out a health certificate, and Lynn then had to take that certificate to the Canadian Regional Agricultural Inspection Station and have that endorsed by that office, the regional office. And on her video, when she went in there, the clerk had been working there for 6 years, and this was the first time she'd ever done importation papers on sheep. So kind of a novelty for Lynn and for us as well. So I'm going to show you all the different papers that we had to have. First one was the application for the permit. This one, and there's a fee. There's a $150 fee, non-refundable. So we had to do that one. And then once we got everything done, we got our permit number, and it's right up there. You have to have this permit, and it's several pages long. It spells out everything that has to be done, what was done, identifies the animals. Then the SCAC code was through an agency in Alexandria, Virginia, and I had to follow up on that twice because they had my email wrong, and so they hadn't sent it to me, so I had to call back and find out about that, and then it was sitting in there in limbo. Had I not rechecked, it would have never gotten to me, but I had to have this before I could get the Livingston manifest and all that. So the SCAC code is Standard Carrier Alpha Code, and that's where they take all the information on your vehicle, and then they give you a code of letters, and that's what has to appear on your manifest. Then they have the truck info, everything. They have our passport numbers, our driver's license numbers, who else is going to be on there, where they're going, and the route that we're taking. And then also you fill out a certificate of origin. These were Canadian-born rams, so since they were in Canada, you fill out a certification of origin that they originated in Canada. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then you have to pay duty, import duty on the rams. So that's one of the things that the customs agent let us know, so we filled that out. And then there's a electronic manifest that they filled out for us, and that has to go, I think that's shipped to the electronically to the customs agents there at the border. This is all the paperwork that Lynn had forwarded to us. That's the health paper, the DNA test. There's the gene check DNA test for both rams. So we have to have all that with us. And then once we get them here, then there's post-entry requirements for importers of sheep and goats from Canada. I have to notify in writing or email the regional federal veterinarian within 10 days of their arrival, and then we have to have the rams DNA'd again to verify that they are the same DNA that was reported on the Canadian health papers. Reason for doing that, you think, well, it's a duplication, but there are unscrupulous people who will, substitute animals and try to ship something other than what they're proposing to ship. So it keeps everything honest. Plus, we're safeguarding the health of the national sheep flock in the United States. So they do take it very seriously. Once that's done, then we have to keep records on disposal of these rams. If we sell them, then we have to notify the federal government when they're sold, where they went, who they went to, the address of that. And then I'm sure those people, if we do sell them, then they would have to notify the federal government as well. So they track these animals until they die or go to slaughter. And then once they, let's say we keep them until they die, then once they're gone, if they die or if we sell them, then we have to keep those records for 5 years after they're gone. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of records, but it has been interesting. It has been frustrating, but it has been interesting. And I wouldn't be afraid to do it again. In fact, we're hoping to maybe import some ewe lambs from Lynn and Arnie as well. That's more complicated because they have to have the double R. They can only have the double R, double A DNA test, and this is on a special permit only. You have to contact them in advance, and they do it on a case-by-case basis when you're importing female sheep. So that was it for all the paperwork. So we have all that with us, and just to be on the safe side, we have hard copies of everything that they're going to ask for. But to be on the safe side, I'm going to take my laptop because everything is in there electronically, and if I don't have it in front of me here, then we'll have it on the laptop. So we're looking forward to going. We're going to leave on Friday, drive out to my cousins in Niagara Falls, stay overnight, visit with them on Saturday. Then we're crossing the border at Niagara Falls on Sunday morning, and we drive from there. It's about a 4-hour drive to Utopia Farms. We'll meet Arnie and Lynn and get a tour of the farm and pick up the 2 rams. And then from Kingston, Ontario, it's about a 6-hour drive to Windsor, Ontario, and that's where we cross the border into the U.S. at the Detroit port. We also had to schedule an appointment with the port veterinarian in advance, and I have to call them 24 hours prior to our appointment, even though it's already made. And so we got it at 8 o'clock on Monday morning because we're in the commercial lane, and that's with all the semis. So she suggested that would be a good time. So we should be able to make the crossing in 5 minutes at the port veterinarian. So she was very helpful, and once I got the right phone number and got through to the people I needed, it wasn't too bad. But trying to navigate the federal website, they had several numbers, and they didn't always pan out. So anyway, that's it on the paperwork, and we're looking forward to leaving on our trip. It is Monday night, October the 9th, and we're going to be leaving on a Friday the 13th, which I hope that's not a bad thing, but it should be fine. So we're looking forward to it, and we'll give you some updates on the way while we're there and on the way back. Thank you for joining us at Norgel Farm.